Welcome to Hardheaded Podcast. What does a father of 3 kids,
5 kids,
2 kids
have to say about what's going on in the world today in parenting? We'll find out in
3, 2.
Kick It!
All right, welcome to another episode of Hardheaded Podcast. We are here in the podcast room of Trussell Media Studios.
At Market, Maine. What is it? Maine and Douglas.
and Maine.
Douglas and Maine. Downtown Wichita, Kansas.
Downtown Wichita. Here with me is Mr. Chet Sears and Matt Amos.
We're right across from the Sedgwick County courthouse, the old one from back in the Wyatt Earp days.
We're also across the street from the public library.
Yeah, but the Wyatt Earp days.
Oh.
I recently introduced my son to Tombstone.
That was a brothel back then, not a library.
Oh.
I don't know, I just made that up.
Yeah. It was fun. We watched Tombstone. He enjoyed it.
It's a good
Tombstone's
movie.
a good flick.
Yep. I'm sorry.
You need to turn your microphone, sir.
I don't know what I'm doing.
It's all right.
This is only our 174th episode.
Welcome. All right. Today, we're going to hear from Matt and what's on his mind. Then we're going to jump into a top 3 movie sequels that would make you want to go watch in a theater, since 2/3 of us never go to the theater anymore. And then Chet's going to close it with a good word. So, Matt, what is on your mind?
That's it. So, speaking of our top 3 today, so kind of in line with that, I have gone back and watched a couple of movies that I have not watched in a long time.
All right. What are they? Let's hear it. Fast and Furious.
There's only one. There's only one. I've gone back and watched a lot of old movies.
There's so many movies that you should go watch that you haven't.
No,
you shouldn't be repeating any of the junk that you watch.
So I just watched Alive. Go ahead, call that junk if you will.
Is that the Chilean rugby team?
Yes, actually it's the Uruguayan, but yeah. So they crashed.
Tomato.
No, it's not. They crashed in the Andes, and were left to basically survive for I believe it was like 71 days. Up there.
It tastes a little bit like pool water.
I think he about spit that my way. Actually.
It's
Waterloo.
like
Waterloo's good stuff.
it's like somebody got a Dixie cup full of swimming pool water and put some flavoring in it.
I think it's the aluminum can.
A lot of chlorine. Tastes like chlorine.
All right, you don't have to drink it.
My apologies. I'm sorry for interrupting, Matt.
That's fine.
I just took a swig of sparkling water for those that are listening.
Waterloo.
That's blackberry lemonade. Take a swig of that.
I'm definitely not doing that. That's part of that water that he claims is beer.
0 calorie, 0 fat, 0 sodium, 0 taste.
Anyway, this tomato movie you're talking about?
You're watching Alive
Tomato movie.
with the Uruguayan.
Where did you get tomato?
I said
movie?
tomato.
Oh, you're an idiot. But it was actually a Uruguayan Air Force flight. So they're, for those who don't know, because there may be some people who've never seen the movie or don't know the story.
Well,
especially some of our younger.
Based on a true story, so you don't have to talk about the movie.
Well, so I mean, it is based on a true story, but those who haven't seen it may not know anything about it. But they crashed in the Andes and survived for 71. Well, some of them survived for 71 days. Ultimately, 2 went down and found like a sheep herder or goat herder or something like that. And they were able to call for help for the rest of the survivors.
And they waited for a while too. They didn't just immediately go down.
They couldn't because of the weather. They couldn't get down.
Well, and they thought they were going to be rescued too at some point.
Well, so I think at
realized
the
that
very
wasn't gonna
beginning,
happen.
I mean they're like, the search parties were flying around and they kept trying to signal, but nobody was coming to that bowl that they were in, and so I got to looking at that, and I was watching that. I was like, so in order to survive, I mean, they didn't have any food, and I mean, at the very beginning, they rationed out the food as well as they could, and of course, this is the movie, so it's not. I don't know what actually happened in the.
They just remade this.
Did they?
Yeah, I think so.
They 100% did. But go ahead.
Yeah. So, as I'm watching this movie from an apocalyptic standpoint, I guess you could say, or a survival standpoint, I'm looking at this like, I think you guys just ate a lot of that food way too quickly that they had found, in bags and, whatever. And ultimately had to resort to cannibalism in order to survive. And then it talks about, just some of the things that, we talked about the things that we would bring, our top 3 skills that we would bring in an apocalypse last week, right? And so, here I'm thinking like, here's these people. They're kind of in an apocalyptic situation. I mean, everything's gone. They have, they've got injuries. They don't have any food. Their clothing that they have for the environment they're in is not what they need. And as you look through that, these people are only there for
71 days.
71 days, but ran out of food. Had to start eating the dead. And it's just the little things that started to happen in between there where people started to go crazy a little bit. And
Dude, your mental strength is the first thing to go.
100%. I mean, you've got to prepare yourself.
Yeah.
Mentally, you've got to inoculate yourself to stressful situations, which again is kind of why and that's what the Marines do for.
Yeah. Well, I mean, even if you want to look at the Combat Action Group, the
CAG
qualification for that is just a way to put yourself in a situation where you are physically incapable of pushing your body any further in a scenario where you don't know when it's supposed to end. You don't know how long it's going to go. They push you mentally to find out where if you have enough of what it takes,
right,
to be the elite special operator unit. And it's 100%. Well, you have to meet the physical quality, but a lot of people can meet the physical qualifications. It's the mental quality. People break down. Yeah. When you don't know when it's going to end,
and that's
you break down.
Everybody, yeah. So in the beginning of this, everybody was pretty much good until it was.
You get hungry.
Oh man, we may not.
Yeah,
they may not be coming. We may never. We may not get rescued, and we may. We don't know what's going on, and so I started watching that and just some of the things that they went through. So that was one of the first things that I noticed, and then just little things that you don't think of, like they weren't able to drink a lot of water because it just wasn't available. There was snow, and so they were doing what they could with that. But it got to the point that they were so hungry that their body was eating itself, and they were urinating black. Right? I mean, I don't know about you, but I would be terrified if I went to take a leak and all of a sudden
I wouldn't be able to watch it.
I was peeing black. I'd be
yeah, I wouldn't. I just if I'm in that survival scenario, remind me, Troy, not to look at my own pee.
Just don't look at it.
Don't look. Don't look.
Don't look. Look up. Look up while you're peeing.
But I just so we talk about these survival scenarios and what we would bring to an apocalypse or whatever, but I don't know that people are truly prepared. Even preppers, I don't think that they're truly prepared for what's coming, because there's no documented. You're going from having everything you need all the time to just absolute. There's nothing.
Yeah.
And how do you do that? How do you get around some of those things? Like the first time that somebody pees black, I mean.
Oh yeah. You're next on the menu. You ain't gonna make it much longer.
Mentally, it's over. And so I think just a lot of the stuff is you've got to be strong mentally, and it goes back to the pyramid that I was talking about before, spiritual base, physical and mental well-being, all being equal, and that's what you would. For me, in an apocalyptic scenario, that's where you would want to be. Is you want to have that balance that comes through all of you. You don't want to focus on just one thing. It's got to be well thought out, planned, balanced attack on how on your survival.
I think from a realistic perspective, one of the things that I think about in this scenario, so survival, Alive. We'll look at that. Society of the Snow is what it's the remake.
Society of the Snow.
And I don't know if it's a remake of the movie. It's just another movie about the story.
It's a remake.
Well, I mean, it's the same story.
He claims it's a remake. I'm just telling you what I'm seeing here.
I got you.
Jeez.
But a security of my salvation and my wife and my kids is always plays in the back of my mind when we think about let's just say it's the moment where everything goes crazy. How hard am I willing to fight to stay away from heaven?
Right.
Is a question that I ask myself.
Yeah.
Another one, when you think about your kids, there's a movie, I think it kind of got to me a little bit. Owen Wilson, it's called No Escape. Have you ever seen that?
No.
Mm-mm.
Oh, let me see if I can find the plot line to that. Oh, look, it's right here. But basically, this dude's with his family in a foreign country, in an unidentified Southeast Asian country, and basically everything goes to crap. There was a coup in that country, and they're like trying to round up all the Americans and use them as collateral or just kill them. And they ended up like shooting up a lot of office buildings where they're. And so it's this dude, his wife, and 2 kids, and they're trying to get out get to safety, like get out of the country, get on a boat, go somewhere while they're being pursued. And I think in that scenario, what they would do to my girls, I would be a fierce, like it would be unbelievable. I think what I would go through. If it's like we're just holed up in the wilderness somewhere, starving to death, I'd almost welcome it. Yeah, I think there's a little bit.
Yeah, it just depends on kind of what situation you're in. Yeah.
Yeah.
For sure.
Just statistical numbers for those who may not know the story. There were 45 people on the flight. At the end, only 16 survived the 72 days through the weather. There was an avalanche that covered the plane, and I mean, so that killed some folks. Just one of the worst situations I think you could probably imagine.
Oh, yeah.
Having to be in. And then because we jokingly we talked about. Through our little text group, eating flesh, and I was like, I don't know that I would eat human flesh, but I would go as far as to maybe eat the maggots that were feeding on it, but you never know until you put yourself in that situation, right?
Yeah,
right.
I mean, because what they had to go through eating that, cutting the flesh and then eating it raw. I mean, I just, and a lot of those people are still alive today.
Yeah.
But man, terrible situation to go through. And I mean, if that's where they were at, I mean, where will we be when, that time comes,
Yeah. That's why I carry, all this extra weight.
To feed?
I could last longer.
Oh, so I could feed my friends heartily.
Not to feed you.
No, so he doesn't have to pee black.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
It's storage. It's internal inventory.
Yeah,
I've got storage.
It was so funny because I saw like a little short skit or a clip from I don't know if it's My 600-Pound Life or something like that I saw it on like Instagram or something like that, and the guy was like, she was saying she was going to starve to death or something like that, and he's like, you could literally not eat for I can't remember, it was like 60 some days and you would still be fine. Like, you're not going to starve to death.
Yeah, I think. I heard. What's that comedian's name? The King of Queens guy. What's his name? Kevin James did like a 42-day fast and lost 60 pounds. That's crazy.
42. That's a long time.
That's a long time. He said all he had was water.
That's that mental.
You just got to do it. Yeah.
That's that mental power that I'm talking about.
Yep.
That's it. Because I don't know that I would have the ability to not eat for 40 some days.
Right.
Or whatever the equivalent for my body weight I needed to lose would be.
Yeah.
That's crazy to me. But anyway, so I watched that movie. It came up and I was like, I haven't seen that movie in a long time. And we'd been talking about, the top three and I was like, I'll see. And I was like, there's just a lot of things that you don't think about, in a situation like that you can't plan for everything. You just got to have a plan. And I don't,
Right.
those guys didn't think at all that, hey, we might crash. Because if they had, they might have had something in the suitcase that said, hey, might help us out.
Some Cliff Bars.
Cliff Bars. I mean, maybe some
Firewood.
not firewood, but maybe some implements to start some fire or something like that.
You got to have fuel.
Well, but they didn't have anything to burn up there either. So
Right.
that was kind of pointless because they had lighter.
Yeah.
But I guess they didn't waste it
There's nothing to burn.
cooking
Yeah.
flesh. I mean,
All right. Well,
I wonder what cracklings taste like.
Oh my gosh.
we're gonna take
I
a
was wondering
break.
how long it would take you to get around to like making fun of the whole thing.
It didn't take long.
No, you've been holding back. Let's take that break.
Yeah, let's do it. We'll come back with top 3 movie sequels.
At Admiral's Pennant, our mission is to offer the latest and refined, high-quality masculine products and services to the modern gentleman, as well as provide him with the tools and products necessary to look, act, and feel confident in his appearance and social interactions. Check it out at admiralspennant.com. Without it, you might as well shave.
All right, we're back with the top 3 movie sequels to go watch in a theater.
That'll get you back.
That'll get you back to the theater.
Little context behind this: Matt and I don't go to the movies
And I rarely go.
now. You used to go
Now
all
I
the
used
time.
to go all the time. I love it.
Yeah.
Yeah. But I mean, they're kind of phasing out, which sucks. And you have bad experiences because people suck
Yeah, dude.
in a
And
theater.
theaters suck now too.
Yeah.
Terrible.
They quit putting money in them.
There's literally not
Yeah.
a good one here in the Wichita area.
Right.
Well, the day Mr. Warren left,
Yeah.
That was it.
because that was it. Because they were good. The Warren theaters were still fantastic when.
Yeah, the
he
Warren was always good, and it's
You could always
terrible.
tell when he was in the building because they had their white gloves on. When they took their white gloves off,
I did not know that.
he was probably not in the building. Yep. Yeah. So, Chet.
Number 3, Dune 2.
It's out right now
I went and saw it.
in the theater.
Yes.
Right on.
Yeah.
Did you see Dune 1?
In the home. Yeah.
I haven't seen either one of them.
Dude,
Are they good?
you need to watch.
I remember the old Dune, and I
Well-
remember being bored to death.
Well, here's the thing. The director did a fine job with the story and the setting. He did a great, from a cinematography perspective, the direct using real sets, like going on location as opposed to doing green screen.
Yeah.
It comes through. The grit, I mean, you feel it.
Oh, that's cool.
You can taste the sand. And I saw the first one at home, and then my kids got into it for some reason. I'm not really sure, but my 2 daughters were like, I want to go see this, the Dune 2 at the theater. And of course, my senior in high school went with her friends, and then so my freshman in high school was like, I want to go, and I was like, well, I'll take you. I'd really like to see this in IMAX because it was filmed for IMAX. And yeah, I was impressed. It was good. I mean, you could argue about the movie and the plot and all that kind of stuff, but man, stunning. It was great. You need to go see it in IMAX.
Cinematic.
Yeah,
Cinematography was real good.
unbelievable.
Cool.
Yep. Number 2. What?
movie sequels that would make you want to go watch in a theater.
it made me want to go so bad that I went.
He actually went. I'll allow it.
All right.
So in theory, if one of the ones on your list shows up, you should be going, or otherwise it wouldn't be on this list.
They won't.
Stab your list.
There's only one of mine that might happen. We'll see.
Number 2, Mission Impossible.
It's coming.
Yeah, The Dead Reckoning Part 2.
All of yours are already coming.
I'm going to go see it.
You're supposed to make stuff up. Now I'm with Matt.
What?
I'm not going to allow this one. I gave you one freebie.
Egregious.
This is a sequel that makes me want to go back to the theater.
Yeah, I do want to go see it in the theater.
When they said this is so,
I just watched the first one like a couple weeks ago,
and you're like, oh my gosh,
I was like,
great
it just
movie.
ended? What the heck?
Yeah.
Yeah. It was
You're like,
awesome.
I want to go see that in the theater.
I do,
I can't wait. I'm not going to wait for it to.
but I'm not going to put that on my list.
Well, that's why it's on my list.
All right.
And this is one of the movie franchises that my wife and I really like.
Yeah,
There's a limited number,
they're all fun.
and this is one that we've almost watched all of these in theater. Almost, not all of them. This last one, the Dead Reckoning Part 1, we did not. Number 1, the next James Bond movie that comes out.
Whatever it is, it doesn't matter.
It doesn't matter. I'm going to see that in the theater with my wife. We go watch those.
Good.
So
Terrible list.
you don't know. You're not the authority of movies.
Oh, Chet, I believe that I
You
am.
have to watch them to be an authority. You don't watch good movies.
I watch enough to say that I don't need to see that.
I am excited to hear your list because, there's no telling what's on this list.
Fire away.
You want me to go?
Yes.
Are you excited for me to do this? Number 3, a movie sequel that would make me want to go watch in a theater.
Yeah, that's the top 3.
I'm just clarifying. Dawn of the Dead. So that is a sequel that I watched that I was like, you know what? I really wish I'd have seen that in the theater.
Wait, these are movies. Wait a second.
These are movies that have already been released.
That I wish.
You wish you would have.
You wish.
You wished.
No, that's not.
Movie sequels that would make you want to go watch it in a theater.
Yeah, make you go like in the future.
Yeah, you misread this.
It's how it was my take on it. So you're just going to have to deal with it.
My gosh.
Because I know I
What
literally.
did he yell at me? What was that word?
Egregious.
So this is how I took it. Number 2.
We're going to call him Troy for the rest of this episode.
I think the next one would be Mad Max.
At least I hit the deer.
So I believe there is one.
Fury Road's coming out.
No, Fury Road's already out. Or is it Fury Road 2?
Well, it's
Fury Road 2?
Road prequel. It's called Furiosa.
Furiosa.
It's her as a kid.
Oh, God.
See, now
And that was one of the many previews I saw in the Dune 2.
So, but basically where I'm coming at is if there was another in the series, because Dawn of the Dead was a remake of Day of the Dead back from the 70s. So if they, and it was early 2000s, I think.
Zack Snyder, yeah. Fantastic.
When they did this movie.
It's the one where they're in the mall, right? At
Yeah.
the end? Yeah. That's a great movie.
If they did another one,
You go watch it.
I'd go watch it.
Yeah.
So that's where I'm coming
I'm
at for me.
assuming
Okay,
like
there
a
you go.
Furiosa.
Yeah, that's good.
That's
That's
exactly
how you
what
do
we're
it.
asking
yeah,
about.
Yeah.
That's what I meant.
We thought you were
Oh,
saying.
you're back in, man. You're back in.
Okay.
My apologies.
Yeah.
So the Mad Max Fury Road,
Yeah.
same thing.
If they come out with a part,
I never.
I think it's the same director. I think it's the same. It's how
I
Furiosa
love-
got started.
Well-
when she had all her limbs
and I never would have.
and she had hair.
she had hair back then.
The magic of movies. It's one of those, like I went to, when I was looking for my home, my receiver blew up at home. The HDMI went out on it, so I wasn't able to do the TV and the audio all together. And so I had to go get a new receiver. Well, I wanted a really nice receiver. I didn't want just something you get at Best Buy or Walmart. I wanted a legit home theater receiver. And so I went to this shop here in Wichita that is really well known for that. And went into their theater room and sat there, and then he turned this thing on, and he's like, "Oh, what preview do you want?" And I was like, "Well, the last movie I went to in a theater, they were showing the previews for Mad Max Fury Road, and I can't remember what movie I went and saw, but I sat there as they were doing the little teasers, and I watched, and I was like, dude, I need to come back and watch that. That's freaking awesome." But that was right about the time that I just never wanted to go back to the theater ever again.
Yeah.
So that's, anyway, so he played that for me in this theater room with the surround sound. And I mean, it's theater level quality that you're listening to that I can't afford the entire setup that he had, but it was amazing. And I was like, man, I really wish I'd seen this in the theater because it's been really cool.
Yeah, it would have sounded better if the audio was on a record player.
It would have actually. I had that discussion while I was there as well. Because I was just there recently. And they all agreed with me.
Got him. Okay.
Number 1, Top Gun Maverick. So I watched that when it came out on home, whatever, because it released like on Amazon or whatever the same time.
That sequel made me go to the theater.
That it was in the theater. And I was like, I probably should have just gone and watched this one in the theater. It was too awesome to just watch at home, but it was already... I think by the time I was like, I'm
because it went fast.
It did.
Video,
it wasn't.
It went streaming fast.
Well, yeah,
it almost
it's only
felt,
been a couple of years, and they.
No. I mean, it was like weeks.
Yeah, I mean, I think it released at like the same time. Like you could go to the theater and watch it, or you could buy it at home.
Well, they do that with everything now, pretty much.
Not Dune 2
or Oppenheimer. They didn't do.
Yeah,
that.
it's still not out.
But even
I think you can buy it.
Oh
now.
yeah.
I may have had some issues because even at home, my TV's big enough that, and I've got good enough sound that some of those, when they were flipping the camera and doing all that, I literally was getting dizzy watching it.
Yeah.
And I probably would have had some real issues in the theater. Like I might have, I don't know, had a seizure or something.
Let me know if you're going to go watch that again. I'll go with you. All right, Troy, what you got?
Stick a wooden spoon in my mouth or something?
Maybe.
Swat you with it.
He's weird.
Number 3, an Iron Man Black Widow Resurrections and original Avengers unite again. That would make me go back to the theater.
You know what was funny about Dune 2? Because if you know anything about the books, like there's like 6 books, and it's just a continual story.
Right.
And there's no payoff at the end of this one. And sorry, spoiler alert. People were like, I got to stick around and watch the credit scene. And I'm like, that's just like a Marvel thing. Like your
people were really doing that?
Yeah. And there's not one.
Right. Yeah.
They were like, but they were like, because they always end those movies on some type of a cliffhanger for the next story, or it's going to announce what the next one in sequence is. And this
Only
movie,
Marvel,
movie like left you like, and
that was
I got to stay around for the end credits scene. Yeah, Google that because you're going to be here for a while.
Yeah, Marvel's the only one that I've.
Yeah.
Marvel and Ferris Bueller. I mean, remember Ferris Bueller?
No.
Yeah, he's like, "What are you doing here? It's over.
I only watched that on like TV.
Go
at
home." It's just him talking to the camera. It's pretty funny. Number 2, and honestly, I don't want any 3 of these to happen because I think they'll ruin the originals.
Right.
But this is kind of what I came up with.
Star Wars?
No, they've already ruined those. Number 2, Fight Club 2.
Ooh.
There was a sequel to Fight Club. I'd probably go see that. Just to see what they did. And number 1 would be a 4th Batman written and directed by Christopher Nolan. I'd go see that. Now, another one that I'm glad I didn't go see in the theater was The Matrix.
Oh man,
that was terrible.
Yeah.
I finally it came on Max or something.
No.
And we had I got like the free 7-day trial just to watch that movie.
No.
And we watched it in 2 nights. It was so terrible.
Yeah. You got to break it up in chunks.
I did. I was like, in the second night, I was like, yeah, I kind of want to see what they do with it.
It's a bad movie, but I got to finish what I started. I'm not a quitter.
Yeah.
I'm not a quitter.
So I got to figure, see if they redeem this thing. And they didn't. It sucked.
Is that the one with the two long-haired?
No.
No, that's...
So they had the Trinity.
It's part 4.
They did a 4th one, which is a kind of a retelling of the... It was lame.
Yeah.
It's like, how do we go back and get some more money from this franchise?
Exactly. And it was the sister directed it, of the Wachowski brothers, which are now transgender females.
I remember that.
Yeah.
Yeah, whatever.
They were better. It was better when they were cisgender.
So they were dudes.
Cisgender. Yeah.
So they were dudes and now they're women?
Yes.
So transgender
Women.
Okay.
Yeah, they were.
I'm still not clear.
It's hard. It's like bi-weekly and bi-monthly. You still have to describe it out.
Easy. Let's not assume anything about these months and weeks.
Wow. All right, good lists. Chet, you got a good word for us?
Yeah, I brought up a passage a few podcasts ago, and I'm going to read that a little bit more. I'm just stalling right now so I can pull it up. And I'm still stalling, and now I pulled it up. But we spoke about just really understanding a works-based salvation and how it isn't scriptural, and I referenced Ephesians chapter 2, verses 8 and 9, which says, "For by grace you have been saved through faith, and this is not of your own doing, it is the gift of God, not a result of works, so that no one may boast." So if it can't be more clear that you can't work your way into heaven. Your faith through your grace through faith is what gets your relationship with Christ. Your salvation comes grace through faith and not through works. Because if it's through works, you can boast about it. It's I did this. This is me. I put together the plan and I executed the plan, and now
I got myself to heaven.
That's not how it works. And if any religion that you are participating in says you have to do, it's grace plus going to confession once a year or wearing special underwear or...
That one still kills me.
Angel armor.
Is that what it's called?
I think that's what it's called, angel armor.
Are you not? It's like
Or maybe that's
Under Armour.
No, like maybe that's something that we made up at work. I don't know.
We're gone off the rails here.
Sorry,
but it's through grace and faith in God. It is not through what you can do. It's a gift. You don't earn a gift. You can't work for a gift. It's not a gift that way. So Ephesians 2, 8, and 9. If you use that as a filter as you're looking at any religion, you're going to be in a much better perspective to see exactly what they're asking for.
All right.
And I think the example was there in the crucifixion story. I think that's why that was put there.
Yeah.
Because I saw something, and I can't remember it. Chet's way better at data and statistics and all this stuff, but there was a post going around that says the Bible is the most cross-referenced book in itself. Like,
oh yeah,
all the books reference this.
It all ties together.
Yeah, over the span of the time in which it was written and all that, and so you think about that, and then you think about how the thief that was next to Christ being crucified at the same time, confessing his belief and said, I want to, and today you'll be with me in heaven. That dude didn't have time to do anything. Right. He didn't have time to go to confession. He didn't have time to do any good works, but he had time to believe.
Yeah.
And he said, I give my heart to you, and today you'll join me in paradise.
Yeah.
So that kind of defeats everything else of works-based anything.
Yeah.
So
he didn't get baptized.
And I can't remember. I told you guys this a few episodes ago, and I can't remember which one it was. But there was this guy who broke it down, like just at how epic of a gift it actually is. Like that you literally cannot do anything for this gift.
Yeah,
because it's just all you have to do is receive it. That's it. There's nothing you can do. And he breaks it down like you can't do this, you can't do this, like all the conventional thing, But yeah, anyway, I'll have to find that because I thought that was super interesting. I'm still trying to find it, but I haven't.
Well, good luck.
I hopefully by next podcast.
All right.
Thanks a lot. Thanks for tuning in.
Thanks for listening to the Hardheaded Podcast. Don't forget to share this podcast with others to help us get the word out.
Also, if you haven't yet, please rate and review the show. This helps our podcast show up in other people's suggested shows that may or may not have listened to us before.
Thanks for listening, and we'll see you next week.